How on earth would we cope without our scapegoats? How teachers are re-educating boys brainwashed by Andrew Tate. Yeah, unfortunate choice of phrase there, since re-education is literally the same as brainwashing. Normally done against someone's will. No, it's only okay when left-wing teachers are brainwashing your kids. This? That's just harmless teaching. This, on the other hand...
You have to build yourself as a man, and if you decide not to build yourself, then your life's gonna suck.
That's dangerous brainwashing and radicalisation. The only thing teachers should be doing is teaching actual subjects. You know, maths, geography, chemistry. What are they actually doing as part of this re-education of young men? Literally telling them the phrases man up and be a man shouldn't be used. This isn't hyperbole. They had an entire assembly geared towards the unlearning of Andrew Tate's supposedly dangerous radicalising rhetoric and said man up and be a man were part of toxic masculinity. What? You're literally treating the use of the word man as a form of toxic masculinity. You're literally telling them to be ashamed of their innate biological reality. Then you wonder why these young men resonate more with the behaviour of someone like Andrew Tate.
Happiness is the number one thing that must be earned. And I'll tell you that my happiness is based on very real world achievements. I couldn't be happy if I was broke. I couldn't be happy if I was obese. I couldn't be happy if I was lonely. I couldn't be happy if I wasn't respected. I couldn't be happy if I couldn't whoop a dude's ass. I couldn't be happy in those scenarios, so I made sure none of them scenarios came true.
A female teacher at another school said that some pupils were giving up on studying for exams, feeling that they no longer needed education to thrive. The pupils always ended up saying, I can get rich on the internet, that's what Andrew Tate did. But what good is education for young men nowadays, especially young white men? Preparing them for the illustrious career of being a lifetime wagey at McDonald's.
Damn, I hate this job.
Preparing them for the glorious day in about 25 years' time, where they just might be able to afford a 10% deposit to get a giant mortgage on a tiny 2-bedroom apartment. The economic system has failed them. The education system has failed them. For years, long before Andrew Tate flexed his supercar collection. In the UK, the number of white boys getting on degree courses has fallen by 7% in just 10 years. Working class white boys are the most likely to fail in school compared to any other race. In the US, 2/3 of the students in the top 10% of the class at high school are girls. Maybe if you spent more time actually educating and not brainwashing young men. More time giving them confidence instead of ramming identity politics down their throats. Instead of ordering them to feel sheepish and contrite about being male. Instead of re-educating and browbeating them for quoting Andrew Tate videos. They wouldn't be failing at school and they'd resonate more with you than him.
When you were at home, you were the man of the house. And when you weren't home, your wife adopted your mindset and she was the woman of the house. And the children spent a lot of time around you listening to you and how you think and how you feel. But now we have two parents, both have to go to work. The kids are left on their own, either watching YouTube and all its bullshit or going to school and all its bullshit. Like, a lot of parents have very little influence over their children anymore. The Matrix has influence over their children. The Matrix is raising them.
Save me the sanctimonious crap about Andrew Tate being responsible for radicalizing a generation of young men. It wasn't Andrew Tate who triggered the crisis of masculinity. It wasn't Andrew Tate who removed healthy masculine role models from society. It wasn't Andrew Tate who taught young men to be broken, apologetic, spineless and hopeless. Andrew Tate didn't just appear out of a vacuum. He's a symptom of a culture that vilifies men. A culture that you created. Observe the immediate innate reactions people give when asked what women are good for compared to what men are good for.
What are women good for?
Everything. Everything.
What's a women good for?
Literally everything.
What are women good for?
They're good for everything.
What are men good for?
Nothing.
What's a men good for?
What are men good for? Oh, not a lot, I don't think.
What's a men good for?
Oh God, I have literally no.
What are men good for? Do you think men are important in society?
Well, I guess
It's sad that the question of are men important can't be answered with a simple yes. What message does this send to young boys when society says they're good at nothing? Observe how young men are portrayed on television. One of the UK's most watched TV soaps, Coronation Street, millions of viewers a week, is running a storyline where the young man concerned about his country, his identity, his role in society, tries to set off a truck bomb. Then another character who dares to suggest that young men are genuinely feeling this sense of disenfranchisement is similarly dismissed as a nutter.
Our country's under attack. Like, the fact that people are trying to take away what it means to be British. There were more morals then. There were more opportunities for people like me.
People like you? Like what? Like white, you mean? Is that what you mean? Max, this is wrong.
You can't just brush away this very real sense of disillusionment that young men in the West are feeling by blaming it all on Andrew friggin' Tate. It existed long before him and will continue to exist no matter if you lock him up and throw away the key. Andrew Tate isn't the source of the problem. The disparagement of masculinity and the othering and debasement of young men is the source of the problem. Wagging your finger at them for laughing at Andrew Tate videos isn't the solution. This, of course, is my fully informed opinion, but let's take a closer look at how all this is being framed in the news on Ground News, which if you've been following my channel, you'll know this app and website has become a really useful resource in researching breaking news as it's being covered around the world. With the Ground News extension, I can see that the Times is a centre-leaning outlet, and that this story is being covered by 17 total news sources, the majority of them being right-wing, making it a blind spot for the left. Let's look into the full coverage on the Ground News website. On the right here, we get a visual breakdown of the biased distribution of sources covering this particular story, an ownership chart showing which entities own the source, and the factuality rating of each source. My favourite feature is that Ground News aggregates all the sources here in one place, showing all the articles talking about this story. This is really helpful to see them all there in one place because it helps you get an understanding of how the issue is being framed by the media. I'm going to filter this for high factuality sources, and here we have all the articles from high factuality sources covering the story, so I can click in and read each one and compare coverage. For example, The Independent states one school has even decided to hold Andrew Tate assemblies due to fears over what pupils interested in the influencer are exposed to online. The BBC quotes, "Parents need to wake up to the fact that if they don't teach their children about the world, then Andrew Tate will." Ground News app and website is the only news comparison platform, making it easy to get a full view of the media landscape on controversial issues like this, so we can all become fully informed and think freely for ourselves. They also kindly sponsored this video, so I really encourage you to see for yourself at ground.news/PJW. Check out the free trial or subscribe for unlimited access to all the features I just showed you. Now back to the video. In the US last year, the biggest drop in employment was among young men aged 25 to 34. 3 out of 4 deaths of despair by overdose or suicide are men. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for 15 to 24-year-old Americans. The highest suicide rates per 100,000 in the US are among white males. None of that's Andrew Tate's fault, is it? Whatever the Matrix has done to young men, it's clearly not helping young men.
You look lonely. I can fix that.
Then you wonder why they turn to someone who's offering a different message. When I was growing up, we had positive male role models. They were promoted by the culture. Batman was a kick-ass, upstanding, crime-fighting superhero. What's Batman now? A self-doubting, depressed emo kid trapped in a man's body? Who are the positive male role models for young men now, and what lessons are they dispensing? None whatsoever. They've all been unceremoniously airbrushed out of our culture. We've come a long way from say your prayers and eat your vitamins.
Train, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, be true to yourself.
Who are the heroes now? People who slavishly regurgitate the message in the most supine way. Who else are young men going to turn to? The church? Yeah, good luck with that. When you forcibly remove heroes from society, people are going to create anti-heroes. I mean, they said Jordan Peterson was dangerously radicalizing young men, and he couldn't be any more different to Andrew Tate.
Your life is how you treat each other over the breakfast table.
Bit of a theme emerging here, isn't there? Anyone who tries to instill any kind of self-confidence in young men by whatever method must be denigrated, monstered, and cancelled. While anyone who tells men to cry all the time, wear dresses, wallow in self-pity, and hate themselves is idolized and amplified. Why do young men like Andrew Tate? He's funny, carefree, brash, self-assured. Maybe if you hadn't spent the last 20 years deriding those natural innate masculine traits as toxic and evil, you wouldn't have created such a desperate thirst for them amongst young men. Maybe if you hadn't hectored an entire generation of young men into feeling ashamed and worthless for expressing immutable characteristics they were born with, they wouldn't be so eager to break out and rebel against that programming. Tate tells young men, be yourself. And it's like he set them free from their shackles. They lap it up like it's the first time they ever heard it. In a world of relentless, boorish man-shaming, it's a revolutionary statement.
Tell you what you do. You become the best version of yourself. Just like Everyone else does.
What heroes are setting an example for young men today? You just force them all to perform meaningless loyalty oaths to whatever the current thing is.
And I'm embarrassed. It is not enough to be not racist. You have to be anti-racist.
They might as well be produced on a factory line. None of them have any authentic personalities. Where's the appeal in that? How is that going to organically resonate with anyone? Note how the most damaging message Tate is teaching young men is the one that the establishment doesn't attack him for. The idea that having degenerate sex with as many women as humanly possible is anything other than a vacuous road to self-loathing, misery and loneliness.
Don't mention all them hoes.
Well, the ones from this weekend.
The ones from yesterday.
Oh, those ones.
Don't mention the
ones who came back to the house.
Yeah, they didn't cancel him for that, did they? The Matrix venerates that debauched, soulless existence. They also gave him a pass for apparently fathering multiple children and barely ever seeing them.
Okay, you have kids, damn, I didn't know that.
Why wouldn't I?
Did they all have different baby mothers?
I mean, not all different, but there's been a few ovens to bake the bread.
Despite such behaviour having devastated black communities for decades. No one cares about any of that. Stuff that's actually harmful to young men. Oh, but he said something mean about women, though. That's the real outrage. Is Tate guilty of sex trafficking and all the other stuff he's accused of? I don't know. I have no idea. They locked him up without a trial. What I do know is that he's innocent until proven guilty. Half of the internet appear to be complete simpletons who think that being accused of something is the same as being convicted of it. Newsflash, it isn't. The lawyer's assertion that he hasn't even been able to properly assess the supposed evidence against the Tate should ring alarm bells. As should the fact that some of the women cited by the prosecution as accusers have since come out and defended the Tates. The head of Stalin's secret police once said, "Show me the man, and I'll show you the crime." If they want to send Tate down, they'll probably do it, whether he's guilty or not.
They can't put you in jail if you're innocent. Yes, they fucking can. And that's what people don't understand about the world. They can, and they do, and they fucking will.
And when that happens, the Matrix will point to it and say, look, we were right all along. We said he should have been silenced. But the crisis of young men and masculinity won't disappear with the incarceration of Andrew Tate, because Tate is merely a symptom of a much more profound problem. Andrew Tate is what happens when you demonize young men and tell them that their entire existence should be one long apology tour. Andrew Tate is what happens when you ideologically cleanse morally upstanding heroes from society and replace them with bland, banal bots who have nothing to say, no example to set, nothing to offer young men besides cringe conformity, self-disgust and vacuous, vapid virtue signalling.